Okay, this is called the phone. Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now. I'm otherwise occupied objectifying women's bodies. Seems I have quite an advanced talent in that area. End of poem. Uh, oh, yeah. Anybody ever see this before?
No,
The original Gus book from
not
1982.
really.
Okay. Uh, this isn't a review. It's, oh, well, there's two things that I want to read. There's a thing that I have in it called Gus Biographical Notes. I'll read that first. Gus can't bring his information in neatly wrapped packages. The store was out of flowered paper, and he's run low on satin bows. He can tell you that his cinders are still out in the street, gathering themselves in the curb. He can't grow up for you, for he is still reaping the harvest of prolonged adolescence, still looking over his shoulder for that notorious band of gypsies that steal homework assignments from children on the way to school. He is lost occasionally for minutes at a time in a ransacked village, interrogating snails about their destinations, checking papers, and verifying fingerprints. Sometimes he is in the cemetery, fingering the lettering on gravestones, searching for a clue, losing the ends of his fingers in the crevices. He can't be with you in the flesh at all times, but at all times he is in your house, falling up the stairs. That's from inside the book. And this is what the woman who published the thing wrote. Um, her name was Jennifer Welsh, and she was the editor of a magazine called Pudding. And Gus was the first chapbook that she ever published. She had never published a book. Gus was the first one. Um, I'll tell you about the accident. The accident was I sent her about four or five poems, and one or two of them were Gus poems. She said, I can't use, she sent me a letter saying, I can't use uh, any of these for the magazine, but if you have more of these Gus poems, send them along. I'd like to look at them. And I thought, you want to see some? How about if I send you 70? So I sent her 70 Gus poems. And she wrote me a letter back that I should have probably dug out, but was um, saying amazingly nice things like, I'd understand if you didn't want me to publish it, if you'd rather have University of Pittsburgh publish it. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I'd like any fucking body to publish it. Long story short, she published 33 of the 70 that I sent her. And this is what she had to say about it. Gus had to get published. He is a significant part of the American scene. He's walking down your street right this minute and looking in your windows. He's thought about applying for your job, making time with your mother. He slept in your car the night you forgot to lock your keys, night you forgot to lock it, and knows what you keep under the front seat. He sucked the grape off the bunch you just bought at Food World. He is part of you and you of him, but you will never admit it. Period. Thank you. That's what she wrote.
Ah,
So that was cool.
full beans.
Yeah. And yeah. So that Gus got published by accident. Okay. The next book I had published after that was Inventory in the Badlands that got published in Scotland. Okay. I saw a little advertisement in a thing called Poets and Writers, that this place over in Scotland was looking for manuscripts. So I said, what the fuck? They're not going to do anything, but I'll send it across to Scotland and see what happens. About 3 months later, I get a letter from them saying that, it won this award and they're going to publish it. And I thought, Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. So that gets published by accident.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, there's a little quick story in between the time I got the letter and the time that it got published. It took 3 years for it to get published. And every 6 months or so, I would write them a letter saying, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they would always write me back a nice, like I hadn't told them that they sucked ass or anything, nice civilized letter. And then 6 months later, I'd write them another one and they'd send me back a nice blah, 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 blah. Well, it turns out they're located on the Isle of Skye, which is right off the coast of Scotland. But I didn't know anything about this. And when I finally looked on a map, you can't get to this place except by plane or it's going to take a boat a while to get there. So anything that they get is imported. Anyway, long story short, it took them 3 fucking years and they finally published it. So they were my 2 first published books, and they were both by accident.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's cool after the fact.
Mhm.
Okay. This is from the book that I mentioned, another one called Beyond Redemption. Remember you guys?
Yes.
So I decided to pick some out of there and read them. It's called Doorways. And I think it's the first poem in the book. You'll find me lurking in shadowed doorways. Don't know what to do with the light. Don't know what to do with the sun. And drawn to homeless people. Remind me of abandoned houses, mysterious histories locked somewhere deep inside. Similar to finding great moments in history at the bottom of a discarded paper cup. My friends all said I was crazy, and I had no argument with that whatsoever at all, even in the slightest bit, but still hung out in the doorways anyway. Told them I'd get some therapy at some later date. This is called black ink. The black ink bleeds across the paper, forming magical shapes and images that glide into the night sky, silhouetted by the gentle light of the moon into the immeasurable depths of hallucinogenic heavens. Dragons, horses, women, crows, celestial breasts, for stars to suckle, all circling a lachrymose moon amidst a storm of truth and lies, the bodies of mortals impaled on cosmic shafts. This is called State of Grace. On the back of our currency reads, "In God We Trust," the original motto going all the way back to 1776 for our economic system. And that was, "Let the buyer beware." Not exactly an endorsement for a consumer protection agency. Well, the buyers have been wary but outsmarted, and the sellers have amassed wealth beyond King Solomon's mind and left the buyers left squirming penniless and in squalor. Okay, this is called City Light Lights. When you're walking down the street at night, you've got the street lamps to go green, the stop red, the caution yellow, traffic lights just above your head. From the interstate, you can see the ocean of office, condo, hotel, story on top of story lights, so thick you might think you can swim in it. When you look up, you see the Milky Way, the galaxy, the universe, the countless stars, and all of it, every bit of it, will disappear in the morning. Okay, who's next? Okay, Hopper Paul.
And Larry, don't forget Larry wanted to read something.
Oh, that's all right. Larry, go ahead. What do you want to read?
Yeah, just one. Another short story. I have to give credit to Al. He helped edit this and made it actually a better story. I like it a lot. And I've also given him permission, if he chooses to do so, to formulate this into a poem. He can just go ahead and do that. And doesn't bother me at all. He can copyright it for all I care.
No.
So here we go. Any ball, any bat, any wall, any time by Larry Ingram. I was shanghaied to my grandparents' house in Mayfair, a section of Philadelphia, at 12. After Dad split, my mom couldn't afford all three of us, so I got kicked out. Grandmom expected me to go to 9 a.m. mass with the rest of the kids on Sundays. So dutifully, I left at 8:45 for a little walk to Four Chefs Catering. We had broom handles hidden beside Four Chefs in the weeds, along with half balls, solid rubber balls, tennis balls, and hollow soft rubber balls. So for an hour or so on Sunday morning at Four Chefs, we played ball in deference to the Lord.
I remember that one. Good show, Larry.
Nice. Thank you.
Well, instead of I'm realizing what time it's getting to be. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go with the I'm trying to decide. Colonel Custer over here.
Mustard?
Custer, yeah, General Mustard.
Oh, mustard.
In the library.
With the candlestick.
You're up. You're on,
It all reads good.
Paul.
Doesn't get
I
it.
thought you were talking to Hop.
I'm actually in the library, so
You're in
yeah,
the
no,
library.
I can
It is in the library.
totally up to you. Well, if you want to go, or I'll go. Does not matter to me.
All right. I got it up on the screen. I'll go. It's called Shifting Shelving from Mangle in June. Gus said one night he heard the voices from inside the book speaking, singing in different harmonics, different vocal ranges. It quickly became clear to him he had to tear the bookshelves down, turn them around, change them, rearrange them to suit the new requirements of the masters. The unruly rhythmic sound of the Beats, Ginsberg, Burroughs, Corso, Kerouac, and out on the fringes, Ferlinghetti. And right next door, the sound of the world from Charles Bukowski, the unmistakable urban soul of Frank O'Hara. The playwrights, Leroy Jones. Apologies. Apologies. I'm starting where I left off. The playwrights Leroy Jones, Edward I.B. Tennessee Williams, Eugene O'Neill, Clifford Odets, the voices of a century, all geared up and moving in new directions. And he decided to rearrange the shelf to facilitate their path. Next one is City of Dreams, also from Mangle in June, but it says The Vault, so it might be an old one. Buildings pierce the clouds, domed libraries, Roman and Greek columned museums, parks the size of small cities, policemen riding horses, horse-drawn carriages, formally dressed doormen, gold and diamonds in the streets, hanging from ears and necks of women, every language in the world spoken on every corner, every size and shape of every human, guns, knives, murders, rapes, robberies, vicious assaults, prostitution of every kind, urban mythologies, every religion, every form of spirituality, every tool for every variety of nightmare and dream. Okay, this is They Are Out There from Mangle in September. The poems are out there, floating in the air, billions produced and jettisoned every day. All we got to do is reach out, grab them as they float by, and share them with our friends. Here's one. His neighbor yelled at her kid so loud that even he brushed his teeth and went to bed. I don't know what that means, but it's funny. One last one. I wrote this one in August called Crooked Road. Indigo inspired, I see Galileo's head on the block and rail against bigotry like a hell that never ends, with Florida school books preaching slavery's silver linings and Central Bucks banning books they've never read. Questioning who should take the blame for this. Maybe old white hetero males will take the fall. But Bastille freedom turns into guillotine tyranny, and we soon become enslaved by noble beliefs. There's more than one answer to these questions, zigzagging me towards the light. That's it. Thanks.
Good.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Up.
Okay, I will be quick. This first one is a variation, a sequel, if you will, to a great work of 20th century literary art. Al, this one is for you. It's The Death of a Sex Toy Salesman.
Okay.
This one is called The Punisher. It can simulate the genitals of a Bornean orangutan. Allow me to demonstrate. Okay. I've written and read some sports poems in the past, so this is a variation on a sports poem. Kind of ironic, isn't it, that a man who collected women like stamps, i.e. fucked them, over 20,000 of them, more than 2 a day, could have fathered dozens, if not hundreds of children, was called Wilt. I always wondered that. And just 2 more quick ones. This is called Precarious. You don't need to fire them. They just disappear. And last one, which has no title. I've read some LA poems before. I think this is my first San Francisco poem, but it's not really a San Francisco poem. It's just untitled poem. In Noe Valley, people write on trees. The words can't wait for the pulping. And end of poem. End of me,
Very nice.
metaphorically speaking.
Oh,
Thank you.
good ones. Good ones.
Good job, Bob.
Okay. This is called, well, this is no. All right. It's called The Bells. I hear the bells ringing in a cathedral, a flashback to my childhood when things seemed pure. Turned out it was pure bullshit, but it was pure.
Mm.
Okay, this is well, this is a found poem, to a certain extent. I found it and turned it into a poem. It's called 30 Dead Dogs. 30 dead dogs were found inside a Marlton, New Jersey home. Police also found a child and 14 other dogs, along with numerous cats and rabbits in the home. Several of the dogs were in very bad health, and one had to be euthanized. P.S. The rabbits made for a really good stew. The cat scarfed down the leftovers and died. End the poem. Now, see, I thought that was funny.
It was cute.
The cats enjoyed it.
For a very short time. Okay, this I know. I'm pretty sure I've read this before. It's called Whose End. I fondly remember whose end is up, and I am pleased beyond description. End of poem. Found poem number. It doesn't matter what number it is. Pope Francis has previously acknowledged the criticism directed at him from some U.S. conservatives, once quipping that it was an honor to be attacked by Americans. I thought that was cool for a fucking pope. All right. I'm gonna close out with this one. It's called The Closet. I started out hiding in the closet from the bomb, gradually found comfort and security in the dark of the closet, eventually found myself reading in the closet, copulating with my girlfriend in the closet, masturbating in the closet when my girlfriend wasn't around. Found myself musing in the closet about the world, about the stars, about the universe, about infinity. Found myself writing in the closet, or more accurately, recording events, including dreams, that came upon me in the street, writing down the sliding board with each wondrous second glued to my ass. Thank you very much. And before we leave, I'd like to I'd like to say I'm sorry about my behavior tonight, but I won't. Because
It
I'm
wouldn't
not.
be the same without it. Al.
That's the
Yeah,
poem.
well,
Go, man.
Well, and
Um,
I'm with you. I absolutely fucking hate summer as well.
I've been enduring summer for the last 77 years.
Ugh.
Enduring.
Well,
I
Florida
understand.
has summer all year round.
Enduring is a correct one.
I totally live in the wrong state.
That's why I got out of Florida.
I'll have to work on
Bunch
that.
of people from Texas are moving here. We call them Flexins.
Where are you in Florida?
That's priceless.
We're in Gainesville.
Oh,
Some Michigan people come down to Flishigans, we call them.
Michigan. Michiganders.
Flishiganians, but mostly Flexins.
a lot
It's
of people from the Midwest come
not
in.
conservative enough over in Texas, so they're coming over here,
I
Yeah,
think
wow.
joining the authoritarian party.
I think the Flexins were on the was it Star Trek?
Yeah.
The Flexins and that the other guys with the weird ears and the thing, and
Yes,
what were they
Yes,
called?
those.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Maybe I'm talking about it was some kind of Star Trek theory. Series. Never fucking mind.
I remember what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like he had the reverse of a dent, like
Yeah.
a mohawk, but it was made out of flesh and bone.
Gotcha.
And then he had stitches on each side of him.
It was a
Ugly man.
brow ridge that went that way.
Klingon.
Yeah,
Klingons, right?
and Klingons, right?
Hang on.
The Klingons and the Flexons.
You know, the lizard people.
Yes.
Did you ever drink Romulan ale?
No, but I almost
Nice
did.
stuff.
You
Nice
probably did.
stuff.
You don't remember.
No, I took Mark to Comic-Con one time. I let him wear my Princess Leia Mona Leia t-shirt. Um, so he was cool, and we did pass a stand where they had a bunch of all the Ghostbusters stuff and selling Ghostbuster stuff. And then the next one over had all the Star Trek things, and I think there was some leftover bottles of Romulan ale left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, since I'm sober now, I guess I won't get Romulan ale, but wonder what it tastes like.
But you wind up like you wake up on a different planet with like an alien in your bed. It's terrible.
And this would be a good time of year for you guys to drink that shit.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling it might make me thirstier.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right, so this is the after reading therapy session, right?
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Hey, you should get that published and charge big bucks for that too.
Well, good
We
night,
love you
guys.
Good night.
Love you.
Thanks for having it.
Everybody,
They don't make therapy sessions this long anymore.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
This is like the length of 3 of them, actually. You think
Have
about
a
it.
great,
Or 4
great
of them.
evening.
How do you do
Get your money's worth.
live long and
Job.
prosper? I gotta go like that.
Edited video in the way at some point, or maybe it's better unedited. I don't know. Just it
Somebody,
works.
some dippy broad, either in the 1950s or the 1960s, sang a song called Thank You and Good Night.
Thank you and good
Oh,
night.
yeah, who sings that?
Remember? But
Yeah.
I have my own version of the song that says, fuck you and good night.
Good night.
Good
Bye,
place to
Al.
end.